morning everyone. My name is Luke. I'm your average Aussie Joe, and today I want to share with you my story of how I became debt-free and have 6 months worth of emergency funds in my bank account in just 3 years. First, a question for everyone out there. Are you in too much debt? Do you have any savings? Are you fed up with always feeling like you're working so hard to have nothing to show for it? Well, this was exactly me 3 years ago. I had a good job, I had a nice car, I had nice things, but I just had no money. This is a story how in 3 years I went from being flat broke with too much debt to now having no debt except the house, and with over 6 months worth of emergency funds. And honestly, I think if I can do it with a wife and a daughter and a pretty average income, then anyone can do it. So, 3 years ago, it was about 2 weeks after Christmas. We had just spent all of our money and I had $47 left in my bank account. And of course, when you think that you'll be okay and your next pay will come in, something always happens and pops up. And for us, we had our rego come up due, and then we had another electricity bill come due, and then a phone bill, and well, I mean, you can see the picture that I'm painting here, right? I knew then and there that something had to change, and I had to do something about this. So I sat down in an absolute mess. I had no idea what to do or where to start. So I did what any self-respecting Gen Y would do in that situation, and I turned to the internet. I know, pretty original, right? I went to YouTube and I started searching anything and everything I could. How to be good with money, how to budget, and even how do I be rich. And that's when I found Dave Ramsey. And you can honestly ask my wife, but after watching a few videos, I was hooked. Now, him being an American and me being Australian, not everything translated 100%, but all the principles were there. And that was being save money, get out of debt, build wealth. I started watching every video I could just to wrap my head around what it was that I needed to do and improve mine and my family situation. So I started with making a budget, and to be honest, that alone took me 6 months. I would make a budget, then something would happen and I'd have to redo the budget, and this would happen every fortnight until I got it right. It took a while to convince my wife that this was what we needed to do, but honestly, after she was on board and she understood it, it did make the process a lot easier. After you go from not having a budget to then having a budget, you honestly feel like you've received a pay rise. You're finally paying all your bills on time and you're starting to actually build some savings in your bank account. Dave Ramsey recommends the baby steps, and while we followed them, and to this day we still are, we did tweak a few things along the way. For example, baby step 1 is save $1,000 in an emergency starter fund. Well, my wife and I felt like that just wasn't enough, and we ended up putting $2,000 in a starting emergency fund, which is fine if that's what you need to do to feel that bit better about the process. It didn't take us that much longer than doing the $1,000. The second baby step is the debt snowball, which is a process that Dave Ramsey came up with to pay off debt. If you want me to go into more detail about the process, leave a comment and I'll do a separate video to this. So we had, I want to say, a decent amount of debt. This included my car, which was a 4-wheel drive. We had $20,000 in that one. My wife's car, that was another $19,000. We'd both maxed out our zip pay, so that was another $2,000. And we had a Centrelink debt, so that was another $4,000. And then there was another small debt that we did have. I can't remember exactly what that was, but it ended up being the first thing we paid off. We were on our debt snowball for a total of 12 months. When we had just the 2 expensive cars left, we started to put the extra money away in our offset account. And the plan was to keep making minimum payments on both the cars. And then when we had the money saved up, we would pay the cars off in one final payment and own them outright. At the time, my wife was working night shifts and I was working full-time during the day. My wife had to stop work due to health reasons, and it left us in quite a pickle. With both of our incomes, we could afford the mortgage, the cars, everyday living, and still have enough left over to put some money away. But when my wife had to stop working, all of a sudden our budget that we worked out off of 2 incomes was no longer going to work with just 1 income. So we had to make a decision. The decision was to sell both the cars, and that was a hard decision to make, but the best one we could have done for ourselves. My wife's car we ended up taking back to the dealer that we got it from at a loss to us, unfortunately, but something we had to wear. My car, we were lucky enough to be able to sell for more than what we owed on it. So after we had sold both cars, we had a little bit of money left over to go out and buy some cheap and nasty cars for both my wife and I, but at least we paid cash for both of them. Things were starting to look better. We had finished paying off all our debts except the mortgage. We felt amazing. We'd achieved what we were trying to, this whole debt-free journey. We were looking at going and doing the next baby step. Then the thing with owning very cheap, very nasty cars is they break down a lot, and they have no air conditioning, and my wife's car even had no heating. So we had to sit down and work out what we were going to do. The last thing we wanted to do was go and get these massive car loans over again and put ourselves back into the same situation as we were before. But we also knew that we needed better cars than what we had. So we ended up compromising on being debt-free, and we went out and got small personal loans each so we could go get a car each. My wife ended up spending $5,000 on a new car, and I ended up spending $7,000. This is a lot better than $25,000 each the last time around we did this. So that put us back into baby step 2, the debt snowball, and we were able to pay both those loans off in 6 months. And that brought us to the start of 2020. My wife was able to return to work at this time, so we had another income coming in. We were both working, we both had nice reliable cars, and we started on baby step 3. And that is to have a 3 to 6 months emergency fund that you can have access to at any point that you need it. That in September 2020, we achieved that baby step. We did it by sticking to a pretty strict budget and keeping the goal in mind that we both wanted to do these baby steps and change our future for us and our daughter. So where does the future now lie for us? We're now in such a better position compared to what we were 3 years ago. My goal is now I want to start invest and to grow our money. I'm still want to learn some more on that before I dive in. It's something that's completely new to me. It's something that I've never been around growing up or never been shown how to do. So I'm just trying to read all the books I can at the moment and try and watch some more YouTube videos of the subject, and hopefully soon I will start trying and see how I go with that. On top of that, I've increased my super contributions to 15%, and we've started to put extra payments onto the mortgage to try and get that paid off quicker. I want to try and document my journey from here, and I hope to show someone out there that an average Aussie guy like me can go from having nothing to actually having some money in the bank and the future looking a lot brighter. It's honestly the best feeling in the world. There's nothing else like it, knowing that all we've got left now is a mortgage payment and we've got money saved up in case we ever need it. If it's something you're thinking of doing, or you really want to try, please subscribe, like this video, keep an eye out. I'm not sure when or how often I'll put videos up, but I'm keen to show you guys what comes from here and see what happens. So thank you all very much for listening to my story, and I hope to see you back here next time. Thanks, bye.